It's been a long time since I've posted anything on my channel. My friend Amanda from the Amanda Bugs podcast tagged me in a little get to know you fiber video meme type thing, and I wanted to make an effort to participate. I know it's been over a year since I've done any vlogging, and I'm still struggling to get back into crafting, but I thought I'd give it a try. So here goes. Hopefully I can do this before the baby wakes up. So question number one, who are you? My name is Lindsay, also known as Knitwhim on Ravelry and here on YouTube. I am currently a stay-at-home mom with a 10-month-old son. So I'm still struggling to figure out how to balance all of my interests and hobbies with the phase of life that he's in right now. But that's that. Question two, when and why did you start knitting, crocheting, and spinning? So I started knitting in 2007. I was dual enrolled at the community college and high school with my sister. She's 3 years younger than me, but too complicated to go into it. We're both in the community college classes together, and I was super into doing friendship bracelets. I don't have any on anymore. They're all packed or lost, but I would make the little friendship bracelets with the embroidery floss all the time. I had a little safety pin that I would clip to my jeans, and I would do them, sorry, I'm like not sure how I like this camera angle. I would do them in the car if I wasn't driving, or in class when I was waiting for the teachers to come, and my sister was really embarrassed. I actually, looking back, didn't understand how embarrassed she was at the time, but she was really embarrassed. She thought I was too old to be doing friendship bracelets, and she suggested that I learn to knit instead. And she's very technical minded, and she taught herself to knit and then taught me to knit. She doesn't really knit a whole lot, but she enjoys the process of learning how to do things, and then she taught me how to knit so that I would do something other than friendship bracelets. So that's how I got started. And then I've tried to learn how to crochet on and off here and there, but I really started crocheting finished objects I guess last year, and meeting Amanda definitely encouraged me to put more effort into learning, and she definitely helped me out with the holes in my knowledge on how to crochet. And spinning, I took a spinning lesson when I was in college, like in 2009, I want to say, on a drop spindle, and I was in love with the idea of having a spinning wheel, and it took me years and years to save up the money and buy one, but I bought one 2 or 3 years ago, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Question three, favorite or proudest make? So my proudest makes and my favorite makes are different. So this is my proudest make that I'm wearing. I'm gonna try to stand up. This is the Bloomsbury sweater. You can see all the lace on the back, hopefully. The Bloomsbury sweater by Svetlana Volkova, and I knit it in Lorna's Laces Shepherd. And definitely the proudest thing I've ever made. It fits perfectly, it's gorgeous, it looks good. Definitely, I'm very happy with it. My favorite makes are both simpler, easier projects. So my absolute favorite one is this shawl. It's the Bramble shawl by Miriam Felton, and it's knit in Madeline Tosh lace, which is discontinued now. You can't get it anymore. But I love the color. The pattern is super simple. I love mindless knitting. So it's just rows and rows and rows of garter stitch, and then there's this really fun lace segment at the bottom that I love, 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 love. It's light, it's flowy, it's amazing. I knit this during one of Fat Squirrel's gratitude cows, which she does over the early spring, summer, and I knit it the month leading up to my wedding, and I was actually knitting it in my wedding dress on my wedding day. I worked on this project. So it has a lot of good memories and good vibes worked into it, so it's definitely my favorite shawl. And I can't do this part without also mentioning my my other favorite shawl, which is Shaylin. The pattern is, I didn't write down the name of the person who designed, Leela Rabe, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, designed this pattern. And I also knit this for another gratitude cow the next year that Fat Squirrel did. And this is one of my favorite shawls because it's made out of hand spun. So this yarn is hand spun from fiber that I bought from Gail's Art, and the colorway was called Sherlock, and it was part of a spin along that I kind of sort of participated in. And this is one of the first yarns that I spun on my wheel that really felt consistent and like real yarn. And I just love it. I'm in love with the shawl. I love it. So those are my two favorite. This is sort of like a sock weight kind of yarn that I spun it on. So it was so good. Perfect. Okay, that was a lot for number 3. Number 4, most disastrous made. I actually don't save my failed attempts very often. I've made a lot of horrifying projects. Sweaters that were scratchy or didn't fit, lots of oversized hats. The one that I most bitterly disappointed in though were these fingerless mitts I did a year or 2 ago. They're called Fighting Words by Amy Watts. I knit them as part of one of the Eat Sleep Knit alongs, and I have a really hard time with color work. And there are 2 problems. First of all, I didn't knit them 2 at a time. I knit one first and then the other, and so one fits. I'm gonna put these on, and the other one is too tight. Too tight. So you can see, this one fits, and this one I can like barely get on. Like it's a huge struggle, and they're just significantly different sizes. This one feels tight and uncomfortable on my hand. And if I hold them up, you can just see that's just the size difference. My gauge changes so much just in between knitting. I always knit all my socks now concurrently for this reason, because it's just such a huge difference. And I have trouble getting gauged with color work too. So that's one reason why it was super disappointing. I didn't notice until the end. The other reason though is I just picked wrong colors, because it's color work and they're supposed to say, it's supposed to be like a comic book bubble, and it says BAM. I'll turn it upside right so maybe you can see it. It says BAM in pink on this gray bubble, and on the other one it's supposed to say POW. But there's like no, I did the pattern right, but the colors are so similar, there's no pop. You can't see them. And it's one of those things where you pick the colors online and you think they're gonna look good, and then you get them, and I delude myself a lot when I knit, and I should have just seen that it wasn't going to work and changed colors. But I didn't. I did the whole project and cut the yarn and blocked it, and I was convinced that once I blocked it, it would just magically fix things. Just, the colors are too similar. Like, you need really bold colors for color work, and so I failed on 2 counts. So that's probably my most disappointing, bitterly unhappy with project that I still have. I didn't frog or throw away. Question 5, my camera keeps falling asleep. Question 5, favorite place to buy yarn or fiber. I don't have a local knitting store. I live in Georgia. Knitting with wool is not super popular here because it's always hot and humid. So my favorite yarn store is definitely Eat Sleep Knit. It's an online store. You get a lot of good stuff there, and I also buy a lot of my stuff on Etsy. That's why. But when I go to Maryland, I love to visit Fiber Space. It's a really great store. It's really well laid out, and I love their space themed logo. If you haven't seen it, just go Google it. It's really great. I love. I want a T-shirt with the logo of the woman with next to the fiber planet. I want a T-shirt. I want one. They don't sell. Last time I went, they didn't sell T-shirts with that design, but I don't know. Maybe they do now. I don't know. 6, most used or loved patterns. So my favorite thing to knit ever is hats. My most used pattern is the Chelsea Market hat. It's a slouchy hat. Here's one of the many I've knit. It's a slouchy hat with one big cable which was like super popular a couple years ago. Like all the patterns did that. Just wherever you put it. And I love this pattern to death. The size of the brim fits me perfectly. I love working on the garter. I love the single cable, gives you like something interesting but not too much. Definitely one of my favorite patterns ever. It's a paid for pattern. It's $4.50. The designer is, I didn't write it because I'm bad at keeping notes. If you want a free pattern though, the frosted hat by Numa Numa is very similar to this. It doesn't have any patterning in the main body of the hat. It's just got like a light twisted rib, but I like the shape. It fits me perfectly. The brim is the right tightness, and then I like slouchy hats that start out with a tight brim and then increase a little bit for the body of the hat, and then it's just a gorgeous hat with pretty decreases. So I like simple, easy to knit, fun. And then as a runner-up, I've actually knit this shawl, the Shaylin shawl, a couple of times. I'd already knit it before knitting it with my hands, but so I really like that pattern too. 7, dreaded technique for knitting, crochet, or spinning. Definitely for knitting, my most dreaded technique is anytime I have to cast on a specific cast on. I have my one cast on that's just like the normal basic one that you're taught, where you like put a loop on and then you stick your needle in it and you like kind of knit but not really and put it on. I don't know what that's called. That's what I do. So anytime I have to do a long tail cast on, or if I cast on socks and I do the magic cast on for toe up, I can never remember how to do them. I have to look them up. I don't like it. For crochet, my least favorite thing is sewing on stuff for amigurumi. So I'm doing a giraffe right now, and I just sort of stalled for months on sewing on all the pieces because I always mess it up and the pieces fall off, or they don't look right, or they're not centered, and I'm not good at it. So I don't have the thing I don't like with spinning. I like everything about spinning except not having time to spin. Spinning is my favorite thing in the world. 8, favorite task. So for knitting, my favorite thing in the world is knitting garter stitch, and I love knitting swatches. It's just easy, no effort, impossible to fail, wonderful swatches. I love it. And for spinning, I like everything. And for crochet, well, I enjoy crochet, but I don't have a favorite thing with crochet. Favorite crafting entertainment. Right now it's Instagram. I just look at the pretty pictures of yarn. I used to watch a lot of podcasts, which is why I started my own, because I thought it would be fun to join the party. But I don't multitask well. And it's hard for me to pay attention to my kid, who is crawling and trying to pull things over on top of himself and finding things on the carpet to eat, like cat food. I have a really hard time keeping track of what the person on the podcast is saying, and like I want to be able to see their project, and I miss out, and I have to go back, and it's just really frustrating. So I haven't really gotten back into it, but I used to really like video podcasts, and I'm sure I will start watching them again soon, very soon. I still watch Amanda's because she's my best friend ever, but sometimes I fall behind for a few weeks. 10, where do you prefer to get patterns? Ravelry, it's all I need. I love Ravelry, it's great. 11, this is why I can't knit and multitask, because I can't even remember what number I'm on in between the time I answer and the time I need a new number. 11, favorite brand of needles. Honestly, I love Knit Picks needles. I have some Hey Hey needles, they're great. I have some Addie needles, they're great. I haven't reached the point in my knitting where the extra price seems super worth it. I will note though, one thing that I really like about the new Knit Pick needles is they have the sizes of the needles engraved on the needle now, so that you don't need a gauge, like a needle checker, to find out what it is. I got a full Knit Picks nickel plated set a long time ago, like in 2007 or 8, and they don't have that. So I need to use my needle gauge to check sizes. And also the newer needles that are smaller, like this, I bought new sock needles, like sizes 0, 1, and 2, and they don't have that on either. But the bigger ones, they have the sizes engraved now, and I really wish mine had that, because that's really useful, not having to go grab a needle checker just to find out the size, especially when I knit. I wish the smaller sizes had that too, just because the US sizes and the millimeter sizes make a difference now. Like, you know, there could be a US 0 and a US 00, but then there are millimeter sizes in between that you won't necessarily have on your needle checker. So yeah, I like knit picks. They're great. Favorite notion or tool? Okay, so there are lots of notions and tools that I think are basically necessary, but a tool that's not super necessary that I love is the row counter. As you might have noticed, I really have trouble keeping track of where I am. So these counters are really great. You just turn the knob to change the number. It's got 2 digits, and it helps me keep track of what row I'm on. So if I'm knitting a pattern, like my socks that I'm knitting right now has a 20 pattern repeat, and huge parts of it are like repeat. So you have rows 1 through 4, and then you have, you know, rows 5 through 6, and then rows 7 and 8, and then somewhere in the pattern it says repeat rows 1 through 4. So I need to know that even though it's identical to row 1, I'm not knitting row 1. Otherwise, when I put it down and go somewhere else, I'm gonna get to it. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this row 1 or is this row 14? It's really frustrating. I can't keep track. If I have a paper pattern, I mark. I used to write the number on it. But the problem is the pattern gets lost. If I have a PDF pattern, I have a PDF reader on my tablet, so I can mark digitally on the pattern of my row. But then I have to carry my tablet around, the battery dies. I had a problem where I updated the app and all of my markings went away. So this is like foolproof. And these are really cool. You can actually stick them on your needle if you're doing circular needles and have them just floating on the cable, and then you don't lose them. So I love this notion. Hold on, my timer is going off. All right, we're back. My timer went off. I'm cooking candied bacon in the oven, and the alarm woke the baby. So we were just at 12, favorite notion. I answered that, I think. These things, stitch row counters. So the next one is 13, favorite current project. I'm only working on one project right now that's active. I have a lot of works in progress, but they're all hibernating, and I haven't touched them in a long time. So my one active project is a pair of socks, and it's a secret, so I can't talk too much about it. Every year for Christmas, my friend Jean and I knit each other socks, and it's sort of like a set thing, but the pattern and yarn is a secret. So Jean, if you're watching, don't look, but I'm knitting these toe-up socks. I'm not going to tell you the pattern yet, but I'm doing them 2 at a time. So the other sock, I've done like 20 rows of the pattern, and I'm about to do 20 rows of the pattern on this sock so that they catch up. Try to keep them from being drastically different sizes. But it's the only project I'm working on. It's the one thing that I still struggle the most to do while he's awake, because he wants to touch anything that I'm holding, and even if he's happily playing, the moment I pull out my yarn, he immediately crawls into my lap to grab it. And also, if something happens and I have to pick him up or change a diaper or nurse, I put the yarn down right away. I have 3 cats, and they immediately eat my yarn, so it's just stressful to try to deal with. So yeah, so socks. Favorite place to craft in public. Haven't knit in public in a really long time, but I like knitting outside. During the summer, I'll just pull my spinning wheel out into the driveway and just spin in the driveway. It's a lot more relaxing than spinning in the house, although I'm not sure how that's going to play out when he learns how to walk. So we'll see. Favorite fiber arts book. The Fleece and Fiber Source book is hand down my favorite fiber arts book. It's gorgeous. It's worth just to look at all the beautiful pictures of the different sheep, but it's also very informative if you're into spinning on like different types of wool and their characteristics. And also, even if you just knit, it's very good to know how wool isn't just one flavor. And I think a lot of time when people start using different types of yarn other than just the standard merino, it can be a little confusing why their projects change so drastically or feel different. And this book helps with that. It talks a lot about drape. It talks about a lot about the softness. There's a lot of history about where fiber comes from and the different breeds of sheep and how they came to be. Different breeds of sheep were bred for specific traits and stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I really enjoy it. I had it as a book by my bedside for a long time, and I would just read about one sheep every night before bed, and I had wonderful dreams. So it was great. So Fleece and Fiber Source book. Other hobbies. I like to play video games. That's my big hobby that I do right now because it's easier to do with him. And I just got a brand new Nintendo Switch. If you follow gaming at all, my husband bought me the Switch for Mother's Day. And so when he was littler, I would put him on my nursing pillow, which let me nurse without having to support him with my hands. And I would play Zelda Breath of the Wild and nurse for hours and hours while he slept and just laid on the nursing pillow. And of course, he's too big for that now, but it was really great. And I'm currently playing Splatoon 2, and I'm in a really big predicament because next week on Friday the 17th, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon comes out, and then that Saturday, Splatoon is having a Splatfest, which is a one-day, 24-hour online event. So I have to decide what game to play. It's gonna be hard. No, don't touch that. Other hobbies, I also like to study languages for fun. Japanese, Arabic. Another video game I play, or that's being kickstarted right now, has hired a linguist to make a fake language for the video game Star Citizen, and I'm going to learn that language too because I'm such a nerd that I want to learn fake languages for video games. So, other hobbies. 17. If you could meet anyone from the fiber arts community, who would it be? I've actually already met my absolute favorite person from the fiber arts community, and that would be the Yarn Harlot, Stephanie Pearl McPhee. I actually started reading her blog before I started knitting, and I just loved her writing style and her sense of humor, and I just look up to her, and I like to say that she is the person I want to be when I grow up. And I got to meet her for a book signing, so it wasn't like we got to talk very much, but I got a picture of myself with her. I don't know where that picture is now. I think it's lost on my old laptop, unfortunately, but I really like her, and I also got to meet one of my favorite dyers from Gail's Art. So I don't know who else I would want to meet. 18, rapid fire. Knitting versus crochet. Definitely knitting, hands down. Weaving versus spinning. Definitely spinning. I want to learn how to weave, and there are definitely pros and cons to weaving, but I think it's always going to be more of a technical, I want the finished project type of thing rather than spinning, which is just enjoyable even if you never use the yarn, if you know what I mean. Color versus neutral. It's hard. Depends on the mood. Usually it's color. I like bright colors. I probably need a little bit more neutrals in my life because all of my items clash. All of my bright colors clash, but I love color. Sweater versus socks. I enjoy knitting sweaters more because I can just knit lots of garter stitch, but I like wearing socks more, and I also knit them more often. So I don't know. It's hard. They're both. I would pick hats. If I have to choose between sweaters or socks, my choice is hats. And there you go. So that's the end of my fiber tag. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't talk too quickly because I was trying to talk before the baby woke up, and you could see how well that worked. It didn't, and I hope my cutie didn't take away from the end of this video, but what can you do? What can you do? Anyways, I'm not tagging anyone specific just because I'm a freak and I feel awkward about it. But if you would like to do this tag, I will copy and paste the questions into the comment section below. Feel free to do it and share your video with me in the comment section if you would like to. I don't know if or when I will be doing more videos on this channel, but thank you for watching, and I hope you have pleasant crafting experiences. Bye bye!